this is Cathinan's Herbal ABC, and I'm Cathynan. I'm called that because that's what my oldest grandson likes to call me, which is relevant because this series, this ABC that I'm going to be doing, is because I'm putting a book together for a little legacy to my grandchildren. They've all learned a little bit, whether they wanted to or not, about herbs with their nanny, and actually have shown quite a lot of interest, and it's lovely to be able to pass on my little bit of knowledge. And that's what this is also about, is that I have got quite a lot of knowledge put together now, and I don't want it to go nowhere. So yeah, I'm making the book for my grandkids and sticking this out on YouTube, and we'll see what happens to it. Yeah, it's about sharing my love of herbs and my faith in some of the remedies that we'll be talking about. And it's a two-way thing. So please feel free to comment constructive criticism where you think that maybe I've got something wrong, want to talk about it, it's fine. And also any ideas extending our communal knowledge about each herb. And I've chosen this format, quite a simple format, so that I stay on track, because I will veer off all over the place. Quite passionate about my subject, and I can always think of something to say. So what I'm going to do is, it's going to not be, if anything, fast-paced about this whatsoever. The technology, although I'm getting some excellent help elsewhere, my knowledge, I hope, will improve during the series. Yeah, so please don't expect anything too flashy. It's not going to happen. Okay, so the format that I've taken is this. So first, every time I will tell you the herb and its name, and also any Latin names or traditional folk names, whatever that I know of. Especially as some of the folk names tell us 10 times more than the Latin names do about, well, that's not true. I mean, if your knowledge of Latin is there, of course Latin names tell you something, but the folk names tell you something that's really inherent in our history, and it's a lovely way to learn about the herbs, is to learn why they're called what they're called. Then the first thing I'll go into every time after the name is the cautions. So I will say, to start with, if you have anything serious wrong with you, of course consult a professional practitioner. My main philosophy about all these herbs is that if you keep gently looking after yourself every day, then the likelihood of you falling for some of the more serious diseases is lessened. And also, if you do fall, then your recovery time is, I think, quickened, made faster. And the whole process becomes a little bit easier. I've seen my friends drop, and my system is such that I can kind of get anything and it doesn't hit me too hard. I mean, if, you know, I could get berry and die tomorrow, and that would make me sound like a hypocrite. But on a general level, my health is pretty good, especially for my age, and I'm on no pharmaceuticals whatsoever. Okay, I will own up to the odd ibuprofen, and I've had a very rough winter, which I'll tell you more about because it is again relevant because of the herbs that I use to look after myself. And that's what this is all about as well, really, is we can look after ourselves. We don't need to go running to the doctor for everything. We were taught that we should. But now, as most of you realise, these things are letting us down. And also the pharmaceuticals that are used, quite often the side effects are far worse than the original problem. So I've got a million reasons why I respect herbs so much. I'm going to stop now because if I do it too long, the technology doesn't like it. So I'm going to come back in a second. So this is the second part of my general introduction to Catthynan's Herbal ABC. After the cautions, we'll go through the cautions quickly first. So I will go through these cautions at the beginning of every herb that I talk about, primarily just to get it over with, so that we can get on to all the good stuff. And also, if you are in the category of people that this herb wouldn't be particularly good for, you can switch off if you want to. So I'll tell you straight up. I mean, the most sensitive people usually with the herbs are pregnant women, and I will always tell you if it's slightly dangerous for a pregnant women to be using each herb. And apart from that, most of the herbs I use are not dangerous. They will be dangerous to some people just about the same way as almost anything else is. If that's the case, I will tell you. Okay. So then I'll go on to the actions of each herb and their medicinal uses and what they can help prevent and sometimes cure. Quite simple, but it'll take some explaining for each herb. Then we'll go on to preparation, and the preparation that I'm using mainly is the preparations that I use, and because my lifestyle is quite hectic usually, these preparations take no time at all, and they take no great medicinal knowledge. Quite often teas, sometimes an ointment, sometimes a tincture, nothing very complicated. This will change. I've only had my most recent gardens a few years. And as, of course, they grow more mature, I have more herbs to harvest. And so my ambitions on how to use those herbs are going to change. Basically pretty basic preparation. And now the recognition of each herb. So the herbs I'm using are all either easy to grow, easy to find, or very cheap to buy in this country. This was my premise when I first started collating 5 years ago. Started to collate the knowledge I got from the course that I did, which covered everything, Ayurvedic and Chinese, which is all wonderful. And I can certainly chat about that sort of thing. But I wanted this first alphabet anyway to be totally about stuff that you can do yourself and that involve very little money. Mainly because I learned about herbs because I was a single mum of 3 kids, because the doctors was a long way away, because I had become disillusioned completely with the pharmaceutical industry, especially in the face of what the treatments they were trying to give me for my children. And that was when I genned up and started looking at alternatives, as did many, 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 many of us. I certainly wasn't alone. But I've kept at it. And being quite extreme in nature, I wanted to delve into exactly how we could look after ourselves. And I'm kind of spent the rest of my life doing that, really, more or less. So after recognition, which will help you with planting, but also, of course, foraging, we'll go on to how to grow these herbs, most of which I will have some experience of. I've been a gardener quite a lot in my life. And again, most of them are going to be pretty easy to grow because they're largely native plants, because that's my premise in doing this. After that, I go to permaculture. This is a subject that's very dear to my heart, and we will be going into why every plant that we look at is not only good for us, but it's also good for the soil and the environment in general, and the wildlife and the bees and everything. Permaculture is very important to me, and it's going to be an interesting little section of this series, I think. Then I'm going to go into the phytochemicals, and I will stutter and stammer because it's all the science, and I do know this stuff, but it nevertheless trips me up quite a lot. Just so that you know which constituents of each herb is the active constituents that are going to cause an effect. After that, I go to the magic, the folklore of the plants. We have to respect the fact that these plants have been around for a long, long while, and people all over the world have got very similar, actually, stories about each herb. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll go in, at the very end, we'll go in and do a little tarot spread for the influence which each herb. Now, I started learning my herbalism from culpepper, and I would thoroughly recommend anybody who wants to study herbs to look at him. And he was very knowledgeable about the astrology of the herbs, which planet ruled which herb and that sort of thing. So I'll be going into that. And as I say, the tarot. So that's it. So that's what my Cathynan's Herbal ABC's basically going to look like. Hi, so we're talking about cues for quince today, and I wouldn't normally have chosen quince. Not really that familiar. I have eaten quince in the past, but and I've seen quince bushes that are very nice, but not an expert. But there's not many words beginning with Q, and there are even less that come within my remit, and quince is a little bit out of what I want to do. It's a little bit exotic for most of us. However, I've found the seeds to grow the bushes for as little as 99p. I mean, I wouldn't recommend you buying those particular seeds because they're probably not the best, but it is doable, and also they are so English, they're quintessentially English. So you might have a bush near you. I discovered I've got a couple of very nice fig trees near me, and I can go and help myself whenever I want when they're in season, and it's the same. Oh, and the other thing I've got near me, I want to say bullards. I think it's bullards that they're called. They're like kind of a plum. And I only found out what they were because we picked them and I tried them. And my granddaughter and I went back and picked loads more because they were lovely. And asking round, found out that they were bullards. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. And they grow locally to me as well. So you take yourself for a walk, especially in season for these things, in late summer, autumn. It's worth having a little poke around where you live. I mean, I'm not suggesting you should go out and out scrumping, but anything that's hanging over the fence of a big estate house or whatever, big posh garden, you're quite entitled, really. And in some countries, they have loads of in Mexico, where I was, they had macadamia nuts. In France, they had almonds. There's fruit in other countries growing that's quite accessible to anybody. And so it should be. Food was here before money, which is partly why I'm so enamoured of anything that gets us looking after ourselves and not having to spend our really hard-earned dollars. We give our whole life away, some of us are in very wonderful jobs that we've always wanted to do, but I don't think most of us are really. Some of us kind of decide to like where we're put, which is another thing entirely. And especially if you're trying to raise family. And on the other hand, few of us have got the time to be maintaining a garden if you're going to do it old school, unless you want to be bent double by the time you're my age. I tried very hard and failed quite a lot. Succeeded in some things, but I'd have loads of lovely things growing, and then we'd go off. I worked the festivals with my family, so we'd go off to the festivals for the summer and come back and everything was gone. So what was the point, but I did keep it up because I love it. And the thing that I've learned, which is sustainable, and it can look a bit messy when it's being formed, but if you think on permaculture garden policies, you factor in what your life is like and what you can cope with. And for the last few years, I haven't grown a lot of veg because I've been here, there and everywhere. This year, all being well, I'll start to think about veg a bit more, but I have established quite a good perennial garden, and that's the way to go. And no, it's not always that pretty. It's to service my needs, and it is pretty. I've got the odd dahlia that someone gave me, and some pretty stuff around, but that's not its purpose. And the idea of having a fruit forest, that really the maintenance is very little, is something that appeals to me. And again, now I'm not working all the time, and I have got the time. I'm getting older, and I don't want to break my back. So all these, it's not just age, is it? I think a lot of us women, not women particularly, that's not fair. I associate it with women because my particular backache comes from being a woman, really specifically. But men too, all of us. We're hard worked in earning money. So my goals are to get us to be earning less money because we need less money, because our life is more centred around our home and doing the things that are important to us and our well-being and our health. You know, your health should be paramount, and we throw it away to be part of, you know, cog in the machine, really. Even the best of us, even the best cushy little jobs, are not impressive health-wise. You know, a lot of you are indoors all day. So yeah, just working on that kind of ethic really a lot. And that was a huge tangent. So where are we? Yes, quince. So the seeds and the seed oil and the fruit pulp and the skins of the quince can all be used culinarily and medicinally, just not too much with the seeds, just always bear that in mind. A poultice can be made from the pulp and from the seeds. The seeds should be soaked overnight so that they release their abundant mucilage. This can be used directly on the skin or between 2 layers of muslin or lint as a poultice. The pulp and the seeds can also be blended and heated to use as a warm poultice or called as a cold poultice, depending on the ailment, which we'll go into which poultice for which ailment when we look at the actions. A cold poultice generally would be suitable for acute pain, such as stings, burns or a sore throat. However, some people are very sensitive for a cold poultice, so it's important to ask people if they think they can bear it on their skin. A warm poultice is calming and relaxing. It can stimulate blood circulation, improve lymph flow, which improves oxygen supply to the body. If a warm poultice is best for some of my it's not a typo because I've written it. A warm poultice is best for chronic pain such as arthritis and for clearing mucus such as in bronchitis, sinusitis and nasal congestion. I will mention, as I say, when I describe the actions, which kind of poultice is more appropriate. Quince can be poached, stewed, preserved, made into tea or into wine or cider. I'm going to come back. I'm going to have a look and see if I'm going to put this one out, this video. I might do it again. But whether or not I'm going to come back and finish off the beware. Okay, now talking about the actions of quince. Fantastic plant to have in your garden if you possibly can, or to find, like I say. You know, one of your neighbours might have one. And old estate places, where I live, there's plenty of these places and they're free to go in some areas of them. You know, you might be lucky to find a quince here and there. So quince is an astringent which causes skin cells and other body tissues to contract. The seed oil can be used topically for itchy infections, wounds and spreading sores. So this is where you would either make a cold poultice would be perfect for this itchy infection or spreading sores. Or you can also do that thing where you leave the seeds overnight and use the goo the next day. Both would be helpful. So especially as quince is also demulcent, which forms, demulcent just means it forms a soothing and protecting layer over mucous membranes on irritated or inflamed tissue. Quince could also be used as cold poultice in these situations, as I said. Quince is a nutrient. It demonstrates its position in the family of apples and pears, not only because of its pectin, but also because of its ability to achieve balance in the bowels and the intestines. Quince is valuable, therefore, in cases of both constipation and diarrhoea, both sides. And the same as apples and pears. Really good for irritable bowel syndrome and even dysentery. The same, the saying, an apple a day, it's not just a cliche. It's really valuable to have one of these because of where we're living. It's in our genetic memory, I would like to say, genetic consciousness, that apple's going to make us feel better. And although quince isn't indigenous, it's been around for a long, long while, and it's very well adapted to the area. I mean, by all means, go and get an apple tree, which will cost you less, probably. You couldn't buy a quince tree for more than 20 quid, less than 20 quid, already grown. But there are ways, as I say, you can grow bush from seeds that aren't too expensive. How easy that is, I'm not sure. So irritable, and for mild burns, you could soak the seeds overnight, and as we said, the resulting gooey mucilage on the wound. So it's a bit like aloe vera. I mean, aloe vera, you don't have to leave it overnight. You just open it up and put it on all sorts of things. Look it up. Aloe vera is famously fantastic. And it's brilliant if you're going to buy a house plant. And I've got that same attitude with my plants inside my house. I'll treat myself to something that looks exotic if it's going for 50p because the supermarket hasn't watered it properly. But I'm not going to spend my precious money on anything but something that's going to help me out when I'm not well. And aloe vera has been my friend, and I love it. When I was in Newcastle, I was living really near a lovely greengrocers that provided all the Asian and Indian restaurants and people. And they had massive aloe vera leaves that you could buy, and you'd spend a couple of quid and get something this long, I wasn't entirely sure what to do with it, but I've studied it since. I mean, I kind of knew, but you can do anything with it. You can juice it. It's fantastic for you. What a wonderful plant that you can grow in your own living room and spend, I don't know, a little aloe vera isn't going to cost you more than 3 or 4 quid. Money well spent. But yeah, the quince seeds will do this as well. You can, so the fruit can be eaten freely, but rarely ripens in our climate. So people have learnt to make jellies, and that's why, comes from Asia, Turkey, that kind of area, and it's big in Bulgaria, who have much warmer, longer summers than us, I think. The unripe fruit is really astringent. Quince is safe for children when ripe, or cooked, or preserved, etc. And the fruit juice is an effective mouthwash or gargle, which will help with gums and mouth ulcers and a sore throat or a dry cough. Quince's astringency is largely lost in cooking. Quince syrup is a pleasant digestive drink. The high mucilage content make the seeds very soothing and therefore increase their benefit both for bronchitis and as a bulk laxative. So again, you'd taken, make a little tea with the seeds in, or leave them overnight, and take a teaspoon. Quince tea is effective for constipation and immunity, and also cold as an eye wash. So yeah, very useful herb it turns out, the old quince. Okay, we're coming next to recognise and grow. So recognise and grow, I haven't included forest because I didn't find any information other than what I've already told you, really, was if you find a quince bush, yay, lucky you. Go and ask the owner, because quince won't be growing wild as such in this country. So yeah. Yeah, I repeat again, I am not recommending scrumping from mansions, but So quince is a small fruit tree from the southwest of Asia. It was introduced to Britain before the year 1200. So there must be some record of it somewhere in the year 1200. Has large leaves with white or pink or mixed flowers in spring, and pear-shaped yellow fruit in autumn. It's a bit like apples and pears, but its fruit doesn't ripen enough for it to be eaten raw in Britain, and it's hard and sour. Quince is deciduous. The quince is remarkably easy to grow, and the seeds aren't expensive. They should be sown in March and will fruit in September to November. They need a sunny spot. If you're growing in a container, you will need to water them well and raise the container on pot feet in winter to stop it getting frosty. Remove dead, diseased or damaged stems and thin out congested or unproductive stems. They need a long growing season and therefore are best against a south or west facing wall with no frost pockets, and should be in moist but well-drained soil. Containers should be 18 inches to 2 feet wide. And if the conditions are right, quince is actually really quite hardy. I haven't found any advice on foraging. But yeah, I'm also going to be buying some seeds and seeing if I can't grow myself a little bush. Okay, we'll come on next to the permaculture. Okay, the permaculture of quince. It's a great plant from a permaculture perspective. Its nectar attracts bees and other beneficial insects. They're rich in tannins and have traditionally been used for tanning leather. It's also been used as rootstock for pears, which makes sense. I mean, they look like a pear, really. It's a great canopy tree for a small forest garden, or a sub-canopy tree, or an understory tree it would be called, for a larger one. And I've made a diagram of your forest garden. So this is the largest trees, this is your canopy trees, and there'd be large trees, preferably that have got fruits or nuts or who are very productive in some other way, useful to us. It's still a garden, it's still there for our benefit. And we're part of this little ecoclimate. That's the ethos, really. So this is the practical way that a forest garden can be designed. So you have these large trees which provide the canopy. Then you have the subcanopy or the understory trees, the smaller trees, fruits, nuts and others. So in a large garden, quince would be here. But in a small garden, this would be the quince. Then you'd have a shrub layer, and this would be berry bushes and shrubs. Then the herbaceous, herbaceous border with flowers, herbs, perennials and edibles. Then the ground cover, it's all the low growing plants, the creeping thymes and things like that. Then you've got the underground, so you've got your fungi and your root vegetables, and some little carrots in there. And then the climbers, the vines, vertical climbing peas, beans, etc. It's an idea. All the permaculture principles are a set of ideas. None of it's written in stone, and it's all dependent on, of course, the kind of garden you inherit, the kind of family you have, the kind of lifestyle you have. But these things, the permaculture principles, can fit into any of those categories. Any lifestyle, any family can run their garden and indeed their lives on permaculture principles, which are looking after yourself, first and foremost, looking after your immediate environment and your family, of course, looking after your immediate environment, and then tentacles out into your surrounding environment. And again, your permaculture principles will also depend, of course, on your surrounding environment. No garden or man is an island. But you can apply these principles to how pretty much you live your life in your area and how you react and respond to your community. Whether we're talking about the whole world, the universe, or whether we're talking about, swapping veg with the woman who lives just down the road. These principles apply just the same, which is why I love them so much. Because it's something we really all really can do without killing ourselves and taking too much on, and it's when I first heard about all this self-sufficiency, I loved the idea, but I was a single mum with 3 kids. What was I going to do self-sufficiently? I did try, made myself a lot of work, but the studies have, the education around this thing, and my education, my personal education about it also, have come on leaps and bounds over the years in response to, of course, the idea of the fact that we could be extinct if we don't pull our socks up. There's been amazing research and experimentation done, and the rest of us can quite easily slot in with this knowledge that's out there for everybody. And that's part of the thing as well, is the sovereignty. We've all got this sovereignty. We don't have to go and we don't have to buy the plants that the garden centre tells us to buy. We don't have to have the paving everywhere that everybody tells us that we've got to have. We can find our own solutions that are kinder to the wildlife and the environment, kinder to us, kinder to our families, and kinder to our, the whole of life around us, kinder to the whole community, the whole world, really. Preaching again. But that is particularly why I'm so keen on the permaculture aspect of this, especially herbal permaculture, of course. So I'm going to come back with the phytochemicals. Okay, so the phytochemicals of Quince, it contains vitamin C, tannins, pectins, fruit acids. The seeds contain 20% mucilage, cyanogenic glycosides, that's the nasty one, including amygdalin, of course, and the fixed oil. So the vitamin C, aka absorbic acid, is found mostly in citrus fruits, berries and vegetables. It's important for blood vessels, cartilage, muscles and collagen in bones. It's antioxidant and beneficial for skin health, immunity, iron absorption and connective tissues. Tannins valuable to the plant as a deterrent to herbivores, insects and pathogens. Pathogens are just bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites. Tannins are important for cardiovascular health, including the heart and the circulation. They're anti-inflammatory. Tannins are antimicrobial, especially concerning gut health and the digestive system. They're found in tea, coffee, red wine, chocolate, cranberries, blueberries, blackberries, plums, strawberries, pomegranates, rhubarb, pumpkin or squash, nuts, especially walnuts, legumes, for example, beans, chickpeas and lentils. So all over the place, the tannins. Pectin is great. It's composed of complex polysaccharides present in the cell walls of a plant. Pectin is the glue that's abundant in the green parts of the plant. So it's found in the green parts of most plants, but in particular, apples and as we say, quinces. What I was just thinking about is when we used to make jam, it was common practice to put extra pectin in, chemically produced pectin or processed pectin. But of course, instead of that, and since we've learnt about these things, I get a very nice apple and pear spread that needs no extra pectin, and that's where your quince comes in as well. And why we could make that jelly that I described, why you can make that without the extra pectin. And that makes me think that those seeds are needed, really, in the making. And they get strained out. It's not like you're eating the seeds in the jelly. I'm gonna have to make this jelly, aren't I? Okay. So so particularly apples, citrus fruits, carrots, guavas, apricots, plums, raspberries and blackberries. Very beneficial to health, the pectin is. It's the ingredient in quince and apples, etc. that maintains that balance in the bowels that I was talking about. Avoids the issue of diarrhea on the one hand, with constipation on the other. It can prevent hemorrhoids or piles. It's a prebiotic, so it's important for gut health. Prebiotics are foods high in fibre that act as food for the microflora in your gut. They encourage the growth of probiotics, which couldn't survive without them. And probiotics are live, beneficial organisms. So, I mean, it's the stuff we need. It's the bacteria we need in our guts. Okay, so phenolic compounds that are also in quince are natural bioactive molecules found in onions, tea, red wine, cocoa, virgin olive oil, berries, herbs. Can't read that. Nuts, flax seeds, vegetables, olives, and coffee. So phenolic compounds are antioxidant. That means they destroy free radicals, and therefore reduce the risk of cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. They are antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and anti-proliferative, which means that they inhibit malignant cell growth. So again, helping against cancer. Fruit acids, aka alpha hydroxy acids, or AHAs, are organic and are naturally occurring in fruits. They are of dermatological benefit, for example, for acne. They promote collagen and healthy blood flow, and they correct discoloration from scars and age spots. They improve wrinkles and brighten the complexion and help to keep your skin smooth. So these seeds with their mucilage and the pectin and the fruit acids are all contributing to give you lovely skin. Okay. Mucilage is the thick, gluey substance present in most plants, but is particularly prevalent in quince, as well as psyllium, mallow, hibiscus, slippery elm, okra. You can almost see it in okra. Not very pleasant sliminess. And chia seeds. It's very helpful for burns, wounds, ulcers, external and internal inflammation, irritations, diarrhea, constipation. It improves water absorption and prevents the LDL cholesterol that you don't want, the low density lipoprotein cholesterol, the bad cholesterol. It helps to prevent that, the mucilage. So the cyanogenic glycosides is the scary one, including amygdalin, are toxic in excess. Amygdalin is also known as vitamin B17, and it's anti-inflammatory, provides pain relief and increases immunity. It's present in quince, but also in apricots, peaches, cherries, plums, bamboo shoots, almonds, lima beans and flax seeds. So you see, it can be nasty if you were going to eat a whole kilo of flaxseed on your own altogether, then it's not going to do you any good. But in small amounts, it's actually helpful to quite a lot of things. And the fixed oils are non-volatile oils. They are fatty oils such as coconut oil, olive oil, and argan oil, jojoba oil, and the quinseed oil. They boost mood and energy, as well as growth and development, and also immunity. So they're lovely. Okay, come back with the plant magic. So I went a bit artistic on us and so all the way through this I've been using alcohol markers, which are fab. But to do the paintings, I used alcohol inks, and they're fantastic, but a bit wayward. The way I was using them was quite tight, really. But you can see on my quince picture, the background, it encouraged me to be a bit more courageous than I usually am. I'm usually very painstaking in my painting, especially botanical painting. But this kind of encouraged me to play a little bit more because of these wonderful inks. So I do really recommend them. Especially the markers. I mean, the inks, they can smell quite alcohol-y, you know that. So if that gets up your nose, it's not very pleasant. But the markers don't really have that problem. And they've been wonderful. Okay, so the plant magic of quince is all about love, baby. Fertility and unity, romance, partnership, love and creativity together as energy for inspiration. That's beautiful. In ancient Greece, quince was given to the bride to sweeten her breath for romance and fertility. The quince was sacred to Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and then ruled by Venus, the Roman goddess of love. Yeah, so Aphrodite, so the Greeks worshipped Aphrodite as the goddess of love, and the Romans worshipped Venus as the goddess of love. And that's what we're stuck with the astrology as well. We look at Venus, which is why I did the planet Venus. So in the Middle Ages, England, Britain in general, or maybe just England, I'm not sure, quince was given as a love gift. In the Balkans, quince is planted after a baby is born to show gratitude for the fertility, the love and the life. That's lovely. That's a lovely tradition to plant your quince tree when your baby is born. Keep your baby healthy all their life as well. The word quince actually comes from the same root word as coins, because of their value. They really were revered. Like Venus, quince equates and conjoins the ideas of value and love. The same thing. And when you talk about Venus in astrology, it's about that. It's about attracting love and abundance to you, and how those two things merge into the other. You know, you never feel wealthier than when you're in love. And it encourages us to value our loved ones as well. Quince is a great antidote to those who feel jaded by life and have begun to take family and friends for granted. So if you see one of your relatives do that, you can make them a little quince jelly to make them all lovey-dovey again. How nice. Okay, coming back with the tarot reading. Okay, so as all we really know about quince is its Venus and Aphrodite association. I thought we could have a little play with these two packs today. The first one I'm going to look at is the Herbal Astrology Pocket Oracle. It's by Adriana Ayeles, and she's a rainforest herbalist, medicine maker, mother educator, and owner of Anima Mundi Herbals. So she's working in Brooklyn in New York, and she brings ancient remedies to the modern world. Her heart's purpose is to create a true farm-to-pharmacy experience through the art of medicine making while offering a sustainable system of healing. She was born and raised in Costa Rica and has extensively studied amongst several healing traditions. And then the illustrations are by Josephine Clerks. So beautiful little book and a beautiful little pack, and I've shuffled them already, and I've also smudged with my very hastily homemade lavender. I'm not even going to show you because they're not particularly aesthetically pleasing, and I don't think I've used particularly organic string, but the burn hasn't got down to the string yet, so it doesn't matter at the moment. and I'll get some nice hemp or something to wrap around them and do them nicely. So nobody got them for Christmas presents this year. They might get them next year. I already had one fly out. I'm not going to take that. There was 2 of them, and I haven't yet done my last bit of shuffling. So just do this last little bit. There we go. And there's no reversals in these cards, and just what comes out comes out. But we're thinking about Venus, Aphrodite, and the quince, and its value on its name as coins. Maybe I should. I've got the Santa Muerte as well. Maybe I'll use the Santa Muerte to see if we can get some coin knowledge, because Venus, of course, is about getting some money as well, but generally abundance and, of course, love. So I'm hoping to see all those things reflected in the cards that pop out today. I'll just keep shuffling. Oh, there's one. The trouble with this way of doing things. Oh, that was 2 actually. Quite nice. One's Tulsi, which is all about wealth, and Bobinsana, which is about trust. Trust is quite an important part of love, I guess. And I saw the Tulsi first, so I'm going to read that first. You can make Tulsi tea, it's lovely. Oh, I don't know this book well, but I'm loving it. The more I look at it, I love it. So Tulsi is holy basil, I think. I think that's what they call Tulsi. And it's about true wealth, prosperity, charisma, vivacity, luxury, beauty, and auspicion, do you say? Auspiciousness. Oh, and she does talk about reverse. I do beg your pardon. So in the reverse, which it wasn't, neither of them were, so that's okay. It would be naivety, vanity, ignorance, emptiness, immaturity, and obsession of the material world, which makes sense. That's the darker side of wealth. So Tulsi, also known as Tulasi, is frequently mentioned as one of the main pillars of herbal medicine in ancient Ayurvedic texts, some dating back to as far as 5000 BC. It is known as the incomparable one, the queen of herbs, and the mother medicine of nature. In the ancient Vedic text, the Bhagavata Purana, the queen of herbs, is noted as the plant embodiment of Lakshmi, wife of Vishnu, and known as goddess of wealth and generosity. In Hindu mythology, Tulsi is regarded as a living gateway between heaven and earth, believed to be a manifestation of the divine within. Along trade routes from Asia to Europe, Christians used Tulsi in rituals and called it holy basil, yes. Across cultures, Tulsi was regarded as a symbol of divinity and purity. Found in many Ayurvedic formulas, Tulsi is regarded as Rasayana, master plants that assist in longevity and rejuvenation. It has been used to treat intestinal gas, colds, flu, headaches, migraines, anxiety, weakness, memory enhancement, premature aging, tumours, and much more. Yeah. So the intestinal thing makes sense. Not that similar to quince, though. With its ability to enhance cerebral circulation and memory, Tulsi greatly embodies the archetype of Mercury. So here Tulsi has the astrological rulers Mercury and Jupiter, which are opposites, really, different kinds of thinking. Opposites but the same, chalk and cheese. So Mercury, the great communicator, who governs our conscious mind, perception, understanding, along with primarily the nervous system and the respiratory system. Tulsi is also ruled by Mercury's polarity, Jupiter, as it's an adaptogenic plant that increases longevity, immunity, while having a strong auspicious nature known to boost spiritual abilities. And the guidance is the Tulasi goddess sits proudly facing her beautiful peacock. I'll hold it up while I'm talking about it. Symbolising heaven on earth. She raises her arms with grace, aiming them like wands to catalyse magic and wealth. The fountain is centred between the goddess and the peacock, representing the wellspring created between earth, the manifest world, and heaven, the spirit world. Peacock embodies the medicine of auspiciousness, magic and beauty, reminding us that we are the living gateway to the greatest of mysteries. Tulsi is here today to teach that the key to Jupiter's doorway, abundance and wisdom, is to live, create and communicate from a place of wonder, innocence and impeccability, Mercury, rather than doubt and confusion. Don't be fooled by material possessions, all the vanity often worshipped in the material world. Tune into deeper realities that abound around you. Be spontaneous and celebrate your temple just as you are. Yeah, side of vanity is always this ingratitude for what you already are. What you already are is so amazing, and we always seem to want to change it on quite a superficial level. What you are isn't what you look like necessarily, although quite often physiological characteristics can affect our mentality for sure, but to follow that as a form of vanity is probably not clever. Okay, so Bobinsana, I'm not going to read it so much. It's about self-love. So it's trust, self-love. It's Bobinsana. I'm not familiar with this plant at all. It's a Calandria augustifolia, and it's about self-love, heart retrieval, ultimate state of receivership, gratitude, receptivity and compassion. If it was reversed, it could be about separation, grief, a broken heart, lack of self-worth, and unable to receive love and sadness. And its astrological rulers are the moon and Neptune. See, this all to me has quite a Pisces feel about it. Now, one of the rulers here is Jupiter, which used to be the ruler of Pisces. And it's that form of universal love. And here it's the Neptune, ruler of Pisces. And it's about self-love, but also about gratitude and understanding your part in the world, this kind of universal love idea that Pisces gives us. So in the Shipido tradition, Bobinsana is a highly respected master teacher that contains a plethora of medicinal benefits for the body, mind and spirit. Native to the Amazon basin, many call the herb Sirenita or mermaid. Beautiful paintings found in the Amazon among shamans depict her as a goddess, a deeply creative feminine spirit who has masterful healing abilities. Sirenita de los Rios assists us in healing wounds of the heart, past relationships, grief, loss, sadness, abuse and melancholy. Bobinsana is often prescribed by a curandero or healer, to heal wounds from childhood, for soul retrieval, or to heal a stunted soul that left fragments of itself in a painful past. Whether used as a single plant during specific shamanic cleanses, dietas, for purification and spiritual awakening, or brewed as a tea, Bobbensana assists in deeply amplifying heart energy to experience the transcendent power of love, empathy, compassion, oneness, and freedom from pain. Bobbensana also grants the powers of expansive intuition and lucid dreaming. Many users, when ingesting Bobbensana through dietas or alongside other ceremonial brews, experience time differently, as if the barriers between waking life and dreaming get washed away. It was said that these transcendent experiences of love beyond space and time are what allows for miraculous heart healing. Bobbensana's bright and pink flowers bathe the energy body with the softness of light, awakening the inner pathways to unconditional self-love. Bobbensana reminds us that love is the highest state of receivership, reminding us not to forget the necessary power of self-love. Bobbensana assists us in rediscovering forgotten places within ourselves, retrieving fragments of our heart, seeking healing. Ask yourself, where in my heart's memory can I bring wholeness to? Bobbensana medicine is like that of whales and hummingbirds, the joyous record keeping of the sacred that assist us in accessing the reservoirs of the cosmic heart. Sirenetta is reminding you to pay close attention to the messages encoded in dreams, synchronicities, and symbols that surround you right now. Through those doorways, you can further explore the great mystery of your heart's desire. Wow. So it did turn out to be very much about love and abundance and our bountiful world, and how we can self-love ourselves into the space of receiving that abundance and being grateful for that abundance. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I'm going to have a quick shuffle of these just to see if it gives us anything. So this is the Santa Muerte that I've used a few times before, by Fabio Listrani, published by or made by Lo Scarabeo in Turin. Actually, I've been there in Italy. So we're using one, put it up front so you can see. And this one definitely doesn't have any reverse. But really, I'm not going to go with the Green Witch's Oracle deck. I think we've done enough of the oracles now. It'd be nice to do a little bit of tarot. See if we can get a pentacle up for our abundance. I mean, the most abundant would be the 9 or 10 of Pentacles, I guess. Try to not let it be about me. And my relationship with money and wealth. It's a bit of an up and down affair. But yeah, not about me, just generally about Venus and the coins, the coin side of the quince. Certainly had a nice big look at the love side of the quince. Very nice. Oh, I've gone way over time. It's never going to send. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to stop this and go back and start again, I think. Okay, I had no idea I'd been talking for so long, and hopefully the video's sending all right, so I'm going to carry on. And I've shuffled my Santa Muerte tarot cards, and we'll see what comes out. interesting. That timelessness really played a part. I have gone over before, but it's usually the kind of 10-minute mark, but this was massive. So I'm praying that it sends, because it was such a good and accurate kind of reading. Couldn't wish for a better reading. And I'm hoping the Santa Muerte carries this on. So we're thinking about Venus and the quince and the coins, particularly the coins we're thinking about now. Oh, Wheel of Fortune. Okay, we'll put that. We'll put these to one side. That's it. Put that up here. So we're talking about the Wheel of Fortune. I promise this will be quite brief. This pack doesn't give massive descriptions. I think that's what messed me up as well. The Wheel of Fortune, face the change, make it happen. Okay. And any more to do with wealth? I suppose that's the thing with wealth, isn't it? You have to make it happen. 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Wands. Oh, wow. Couldn't have had better cards come out. Let's put them down so you can see them. Too far. That's perfect. Yeah, over a little bit. So really perfect for the abundance of the quince and the coins. So the 10 of Wands is having great ideas and that sort of thing. Let's see what it says about the wands in here. 10 of Wands. Achievement. Don't leave things in suspense lest they overwhelm. So keep plodding on. So it's that, if you want your 10 of Pentacles, you get up and you do it again the next day, and you do all the little jobs, and you keep, what do they say? Look after the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves, was the old saying. So it's a little bit like that. So you keep going with your little ideas and your little ways of getting through and getting the money in that you need to. And the 10 of Pentacles, break your limits, create your masterpiece. And that's the wealth, isn't it? That's the ultimate abundance and wealth, really, is to achieve your own potential, really. I think that's a lovely note to finish on. I'm really, really pleased with that. I think that's the best reading yet. That I've got the most excited about anyway. And I'll see you next week for rhubarb.